Welcome to the Grounds for Success podcast. I'm your host, Austin Seltzer. Together, we'll unveil the keys to success in the music industry. Join me as I explore my guests' life stories and experiences to uncover practical insights to help you align with your goals more effectively. Welcome to the Grounds for Success podcast. My name is Austin Seltzer, and I am a mixing and mastering engineer with over 10 years of experience in the music industry. Today, my guest is Acoustics, or also known as Sex on the Beach. Acoustics is a multi-instrumentalist, producer, songwriter, artist, and also one of my really good buddies. He has produced and written Faith by Galantis, featuring Dolly Parton and Mr. Probz, Dandelion by Jake and Galantis, Monsters by 24 Karat Golden, Sail Away by Lovely the Band, How Do You Love by Cheat Codes and Lee Bryce, Losing My Religion by Steve Aoki, and so much more. As an artist, he's also produced remixes for Meghan Trainor, Oliver Tree, Fits in the Tantrums, Flow Rider, Galantis, and Dolly Parton. Kind of a ridiculous list there. Huge flex. I'm stoked to have him on. On today's episode, we're going to talk about whenever growing up, how Eric's dad was very hands-on and really kind of like trained him in life, kind of like Tiger Woods' dad did, just like as a mentor, but somebody who's always there kind of as this like guiding force to make his son into, a diamond, taking a piece of coal and pressuring it into a diamond. Eric also had a half-brother who was a great musician. Unfortunately, he passed away whenever Eric was 5 years old, but he imparted this thing in Eric that was like, music is really cool, and it's something that he looked up to. And so he was a guiding light in Eric's life whenever he was younger, for sure. And by 10, Eric had learned how to play the piano, or was learning how to. He was teaching himself on YouTube, and he quickly got into actually creating YouTube videos, not on music, but on his golf playing, but just content creation. And I think getting himself out there that way really helped him to just put himself out there. At an early age, Eric heard, tons of music playing around the house, and he was inspired by like Blink-182 and Eminem and stuff like that. But then he heard One Direction and Justin Bieber and kind of fell in love with pop. He really wanted to understand how it was made, and it just like clicked in his mind, like, I love that. I want to figure out how to make that. So that was the guiding force for him to go in the pop direction. We learn how Eric took up a job at American Eagle to be able to save up for a Mac Mini. And I think that is just so important, because music is a struggle. We have to be out there, and we have to take up jobs, and we have to hustle continuously to be able to put food on the table and to be able to have the tools to be able to make music. And just knowing that he took up that job to be able to afford a Mac Mini to even get started creating pop music is just an awesome story that you're going to hear about. And really, we're going to hear one of the most motivational stories, I think, of how Eric was given a task by his buddy Saint on creating flips for Galantis, and how in like the final hour, he put together what would become Faith with Dolly Parton. And we get to hear that story of how all of that came about, and really how all of the years leading up to that moment is how he learned to be able to create something that quickly under that much pressure and deliver, and it be some magic. And I think you guys are really going to love that story. All right, let's get caffeinated.
All right, talk me through this coffee here. What do we got?
Yeah, so I'm going to have to shit on you for a second.
Go for it.
Eric doesn't like coffee.
I hate coffee.
He really hates coffee.
I can't stand it.
And I swear I did not like force him to do this, although I sent like a couple hate messages.
Yeah, man.
And I said, I can't have you on because you don't drink coffee. I said, if you come on the podcast and you don't drink coffee, I will just sit here and shit talk you the whole time. But I swear I didn't force you to do.
Oh man, I don't know. It's like a foreign substance or something. I don't know.
But you're a foreign man.
I am a foreign man. This is my thoughts on coffee, right? Not gonna, can I swear on this?
Yeah.
Not to shit on coffee drinkers everywhere. It's a legal drug. Like unpopular opinion. Coffee
Do you
is
not
illegal.
like caffeine?
No, it's just like I for one, I don't love the taste of coffee, right?
Fair.
But like that whole mocha, I don't know. It's just I never loved the taste of it. But there are some like coffees that I do enjoy. But I think it's like the thought that I need another substance to like pick my mood up. You know what I mean? I think it's like that thought that like maybe it's not like I think it's just a mixture of like I don't want to rely on something else. Like I've seen some people who haven't had their coffee and it's like they're like a different human being. And I think that scares me a little bit.
I get that.
As I drink this.
Yeah. So I will talk you through your coffee. So
it's phenomenal though.
I have to say that holy crap, I've never made this before. So it's Onyx, a company, but it's a Costa Rican bean. And okay, so I just took the first sip and I'm actually fucking baffled. That was delicious.
No, like I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not a coffee drinker. This is a very good coffee.
So yours is made.
Maybe it's because it was made with love.
It was made with love.
Thanks, man.
I hand ground those beans. I ran upstairs
ground them beans.
And I got some oat creamer, which it's like it has a little bit of sweetness, but so I whipped it and put it all
really
together.
Good.
But man, I am actually baffled. That is delicious. Great job, Onyx. But there is a real use for caffeine. As long as it's not too much, it does help mental clarity. It helps like if you're trying to zoom in on something, like focus real hard on something, it does help focus. Like there is
really,
oh man, there's so much data saying
interesting,
like how it increases focus. It increases the ability to get to a thought more quickly.
Oh wow.
So there are some good uses. Of course, like I do see what you're saying, like if you have to rely on that.
Right.
But what if you're already a superhuman and you're trying to
become more of a superhuman?
Yeah, just look for a little bit of an edge. Because we were talking about it earlier.
Right.
We're playing at the very, very top level of music.
The highest. Yeah.
And any little edge like that, like a very natural substance.
True. I mean, like I definitely would prefer some like this over like Adderall. You know what I mean? Like, because it does come from nature, I guess you could say. So coffee, I guess, if there is any legal drug that I would take or do, like it's coffee. Like, and there is a lot of positive health benefits to coffee. I know that for sure. But yeah, that's why I'm drinking it with you today.
Dude, it's so great to have you on here.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. Love this. Like what you've done is incredible. This is really cool. Really happy to be here for sure.
Thanks, man.
It was all a dream. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
It's true, man. No, it's really exceptional to see like where, like how this has come to be. Like it's really like sometimes like I think like sometimes like when you look at like a painting or something like that, it's like you're looking at that painting and then you get like encapsulated in that painting and like you put yourself almost like in the painting. I feel like this room has that like feeling to it. It's like you sit down and it's like an art piece. Like everything is so well thought out and it's amazing, man.
Let's go back to Lil Eric.
Lil Eric.
Yeah.
Baby Eric.
I want to understand kind of how everything started, who your parents are.
Yeah.
Like the environment you grew up in and what about your younger years kind of shaped who you became today, who you're going to be, because some of that fabric of how you grow up is, of course, going to dictate who you are.
So true.
And maybe like in high school, like what got you, what did you take from your childhood and what has like moved you along with this DNA of who you are now?
Wow. It's a great question. What a way to kick it off, dude. like I mean, I'm from Massachusetts, like Worcester, Massachusetts, which is like, like we were talking about, it's like it's one of the bigger cities in Massachusetts, but it's by no means a major city or anything like that. But we invented the smiley face. The guy,
Wait, how does that?
Harvey Ball, he's the inventor of the smiley face. It was invented in Worcester.
Wait,
yeah,
you can invent that?
He's the one who like properly patented it, and I think the smiley face was already a thing, but once he was like the first one to be like, "This is my idea." Probably wasn't his idea. Maybe it was. I don't know. But
wow,
Worcester. It's one of the claims to fame. Yeah,
I love that.
We have the Woo socks, but it's like, it's like like a normal city. My mom was a preschool teacher. My dad was a limo driver. We were definitely like lower middle class. Like I think that like growing up, my parents, we didn't have a lot of money, but my parents always made sure that I had everything I needed. And they always like fueled they were always very supportive, always super supportive. No matter what it is what I love doing, like they were always there. And I think like I was like a really, really big golfer when I was in high school, and like growing up, I was like really big into golf. And I was really, really good, and I won like some New England PGA Junior tournaments, and like I was like getting scouted to play really high level in college, and like I was really good, and like my dad would take me to every single tournament, like drive me all over the place. Like they just always made sure that like I had everything that I needed. Even if we didn't have enough, like they would make sure that we got it. Which is I think really, really cool. I have another brother. He's a year older than me. We're completely different people. Like we could not be more different. He's like, you know what I mean? Like he's like the work with his hands, like hardworking, like different like mindset to me, where I'm just like work with my brain and like travel the world. And like he's like, like he's like a homebody, or like he just loves to stay. So like we're only a year apart, and we grew up together. We had the same experiences. We even graduated together in the same grade. Like we pretty much live the same life, but we have completely different lives and different mindsets, which I think is sometimes really interesting. Like how you can have a sibling that's so close to you, but you're like completely different.
Yeah, I would actually love to explore that at some point. So let's put a pin in that, because there has to be a reason. I don't think it's just the way that we are.
Yeah, 100%
put into this world. Like there are some things that determine, oh, he was doing this, and he made me feel secluded, so I went and did my own thing.
100%.
Well, we should explore
absolutely
that.
For sure. And yeah, like I like growing up, like my dad, well, he passed away like a year and a half ago. And like my dad was like my best friend. Like growing up, like he taught me so much about mental strength and mental toughness. And like we looked up to like, I'm from Massachusetts, so we're like Tom Brady fans and like, hardcore Patriots fans.
Gosh, I know
the best team on the planet, you know what I mean? Like unlike the Dallas Cowboys, who, you know what I mean, they're just really overrated, you know what I mean? Things like that. Like I don't know if you know anything about that.
I may know a thing or two about that. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure, we've won quite a few.
The rest of this rest of this talk is just going to just go downhill from here.
I know. You're going to start asking me really hard questions. You're going to take it easy on me. Now you're like, oh, fuck this guy.
Just paint you in a terrible light.
I can't fucking stand this guy. You know what I mean? Like, but we grew up, like Tom Brady and like I grew up on like Tiger Woods, what he did on the golf course, not what he did off the golf course. But my dad, I remember my dad had two really bad knees, and like he like couldn't walk without a cane or a walker, like even when I was a kid.
Oh wow.
And so he was always like in pain, always. And like whenever we would walk places, like he would have to use me and my brother as like a crutch. But like he would fight through all that pain. Like I remember he like couldn't even stand. He had a walker. And like my dad was older. Like my dad was, when I was 16, my dad was like 60. No, 50, like he was an older dad. Definitely like the oldest dad in the friend group. And I remember like my baseball team, when I played baseball, he was the first base coach, and he couldn't even stand. Like he's sitting there with a cane, like standing, and every inning walking out to like go stand at first base. And it's like there's so many parents that could have been the first base coach, like, but he was like the one that was there. I remember we would go fishing. He would walk down these hills, and like you could like hear his like knees cracking, like from the pain, because it was like so painful. And but he always made sure to like, he didn't want to take away from the experience that like we could have in our childhood. And like those moments are invaluable, like for the rest of my life. Like I always say, like my dad like taught me how to think. Like it's like he really looked up to like we were talking about Tiger Woods. Like he really looked up to, you know, Tiger's dad and Earl Woods, and like he wrote a book and like all this stuff, and he talks about mental toughness and how like you can like raise your sons, like pretty much like how he raised Tiger. And he like really was like big on that book, and he kind of raised me in a similar sort of mindset, can have this experience, you know? And it's like most dads, you know what I mean? Like most dads, some dads don't even do that, you know? Some dads aren't even there, you know? Like, so I'm just really lucky to have had that. And my mom is like the most kind and gracious person. Like I bet you $1 million my mom is going to comment on this podcast. You know what I mean? Like she's like the most supportive. Like she's given me like the kindness and the nurturing, and she's one of the most incredible people ever. She's hilarious. She's a character. So
Damn, I'm so confused then why you're just such an ass.
oh my God, I knew it was coming. You know? Oh man. You know, man, it's just because I'm a Patriots fan, dude. Let's just blame it on that. We've won so much, man. It's in our heads now, you know. But yeah.
I want to explore that thought though.
100%.
Of how one sibling can be so different. Because actually me and my sister, her name is Mickey, Dr. Seltzer, almost Dr. Seltzer. Actually, by the time this comes out, she will be Dr. Seltzer, and I'm so
Good
freaking happy for her. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's
congrats, Michaela.
Huge accomplishment.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm very much the creative mind.
Right.
Like I can see the future of what I want, and like all the parts moving and how I'm going to get there and how they're all going to align.
Right.
And I can, but I'm also systematic enough.
You can do it.
Come on, coffee, kick in.
Yeah, right.
Systematic enough to go along a plan that I have set in my mind. But I can formulate the creative ideas. And of course, I'm just a creative. But she is incredibly analytical.
Total opposite to you.
Yeah. I mean, although I feel like I'm analytical, she's like just remove the creative part, which I'm sure she has some creativity in there, but like add it all into the
too much, yeah.
add it all into the analytical part.
Right.
And what drives her, I mean, like, dude, if I see somebody with like open wounds and blood, I think I will faint.
Oh yeah. I mean, shout out to doctors. I mean, that's like, y'all are doing God's work. You know what I mean?
Like you're keeping people alive. Yeah. I'm just trying to keep myself alive.
I'm just going beep bop beep on a daily basis. And they're like cutting people open and like ripping hearts out and shit. Like they're doing the real work, not us. But
yeah, so like totally stark amazing. Opposite. And I could explore why we're different, but really we're here to talk about you, and I would love to find out, because let me frame it this way. Have you read a book called The Outliers?
No.
Or Outliers. So I think that it is legitimately, if you are into reading books, or if you will make an exception for a book, this one is so incredible, because what it does is it breaks down why people are tremendously good at what they're good at. And we're talking about people at the very, very, very top level.
Interesting.
Why are they so much better at whatever this is than other people?
Right.
And generally it comes down to getting a lot of years early in life into whatever the craft is that you flourish into.
Right.
So they have a chapter on like Bill Gates.
Right.
And how he grew up in a town that had one of the only computers in his whatever year this was.
Oh, wow.
And it was at a library. And he happened, I can't remember if it was like his parents happened, one of them worked at the library or one of them was a teacher.
He was around it.
He was around it. And so he started to love the computer, and he would spend all of his hours on this. And then it happened that in like the college that was linked to the town that he grew up in, you know, like the one that you just go to because you're already there type thing, was one of the only in the country that had a computer like room. And so these things lined up, and he was so proficient already whenever he got into college at the computer that, I mean, he just like super excelled.
And obviously he's a genius, you know what I mean? So
yeah, paired with something that
a superhuman or like a savant level gift mind with his surroundings is what created what then would create one of the biggest computer companies in the world.
Right.
That's interesting.
And so the book explores things like that and so many other examples. But I have a feeling that like we can figure out some of the stepping stones as to why you're producing and writing and working on some just like holy fucking smashes with people that are legends, just outright legends. And I'll say this also, like, no, how old are you again?
28.
Yeah, 28. So like, young. There's no reason that 28-year-olds should be working with legends like that when there are so many talented people. Like, 100%. What are the intricate movements that got you to this place?
Wow, yeah. That's a good, like, because I think like it's kind of it's interesting because it's almost like luck. You know what I mean? Like, I've always felt in my life that I've been very lucky, kind of like fortunate. Like, things just somehow like fall my way. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like my angels upstairs or what. It's luck, but I think like I also saw this too. And it's like proximity, being close to things, and like sometimes you don't need to be the most talented person. You know what I mean? Like, there are definitely producers out there that are way more talented than I am, but sometimes it's like having just being in the right place at the right time and delivering at the most important time, delivering under pressure, like we talked about before, something like that. But I mean, when I was young, you know what I mean? Like my dad also had a son from a prior marriage, and he was really, his name was Ryan, and he was super, super into guitar. And when I was young, he actually passed away when I was like 5 years old.
Wow. How old was he?
He was 20, I want to say 25 years old. Yeah, he passed away. And I remember like nobody else in my family is musical at all. Like, nobody is, even like my mom and my dad can't even clap on beat. Like, it's like, normal, like white people. Like, I can't even like clap on beat. And like
the whole crowd is clapping in unison, but they're off.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like that. It's like, but Ryan was an amazing musician. And like, I always remember like being around that and being so fascinated by that. And I was like, wow, like this is like really, really cool. And then like, I also like, then I started getting into music, and I just like started becoming curious about music. But I think maybe it was because of like Ryan. It was like that initial fascination, like as a kid, that I think kind of maybe like made me curious about music. And then I remember one Christmas, I wanted like a PlayStation or something like that. And my mom got me a piano instead of, and like, she didn't like, I didn't ask for a piano. Like, it was like one of those like cheap, like $70 Casio pianos that you can get at Guitar Center, like one of those super cheap ones. And I don't know if it was because they couldn't afford a PlayStation or whatever, but like, I remember she got me a piano, and it sat in my living room for like 6 months. And I was like, I never touched it. And then like one day I was like bored, and I was like, oh, like, let me see what this thing's about. And I was like, I like this fascination with music. And I was like, okay, let me see what this thing's about. And then I like taught myself how to play piano, like from YouTube. Like, this was like early stages of YouTube. I'm like maybe like 10 years old at this time, 11 or 12 years old. And then I fell in love with the piano. Then I started playing the trumpet, and like in school. And like, I also went to a school called Abby Kelly. Shout out Abby Kelly. They're an art school. Like, we had like, we weren't like a huge sports school, or like we're a charter school. We had an amazing arts program. Like, they really spent a lot of money on the music and the orchestra and like just the whole music program. So they give you an opportunity to play an instrument when you're in like 4th grade. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, trumpet sounds cool. And I think I read somewhere, like, as like a immature, like elementary school, middle school kid, like that trumpet players become the best kissers. And I was like, I want to be a good kisser. So then I was like, oh, let me play the trumpet. And like, I thought like that was a cool instrument, because most of the time it's like the lead instrument. And like, I was like, I always wanted to be like the lead instrument. And so then that's kind of how I started my whole little musical journey. But I think it's actually really interesting, similar to like schools, like what happened with like Bill Gates. Like, my school had a great program, and then I grew up with a fascination for something, and then like my school fostered that fascination, and then from there, you know what I mean? Then that's when I started meeting like my, like my friend Ernest, and David St. Fleur, who's a really successful music executive, and like that's kind of like where I learned how to make music, was from that group of people at a high level. You know what I mean? And working with people, like it's insane. Like to think about like the people that, like, you know what I mean? It's like people that you grew up listening to and like your parents listened to, and like now it's like weird like talking about it almost. Like it's almost like you almost feel like a sense of like I I know I worked hard to be there, but it's like I'm like when you think about it that way, it's like I'm just like that 5-year-old kid that had that fascination, and now it's like blossomed into this whole thing.
Yeah, I want to dive like more deeply into parts of those, because I could tell where you were going with that. Okay, so at an early age, you had a relative that played guitar and was into music, and certainly those years, whenever you were that young, and you look up to somebody who's close to you but older, you like idolize them.
100%.
So I could totally see how that would spark your curiosity, and then you get a piano, and you're like, oh fuck, it's not a guitar, probably.
Yeah.
You didn't. I'm guessing you looked at that thing and you were like, that I don't know about that instrument.
Yeah.
But then you got the curiosity, and luckily you had YouTube to really foster that.
Yeah, 100%.
So cool. I mean, and
I learned by ear too. Like I would like listen to songs and I'd be like, okay, cool. Like this was like the early state. I'm talking like, remember like those old like David Blaine videos?
Oh man, I totally remember when YouTube popped.
OG YouTube, like that type of stuff. And then I started making YouTube videos actually.
Oh, that's cool.
Like I was like making YouTube like in that era, like at like 13, 14 years old.
What were you making?
Golf videos.
Wow.
I
think I can kick your ass at golf. I don't think I've ever
Have
really,
you seen me play?
No, I don't care.
You're in for a rude awakening.
Bro, I've played Top Golf before. Okay, it's like
You're good. No, I mean, no, I love golf. Golf is fun. But
I've heard you're great.
Yeah, thanks, man. But
only from you though.
Yeah, from me. I talk a lot of shit, but I'm actually just
You
joking.
are the number one shit talker.
I'm such a shit talker. I think it's my Massachusetts roots. Like, but no, like I'm just like kidding around. You know what I mean? Like I don't play golf. Like when we're playing volleyball, I'm just like, your team sucks.
Yeah, no, I love
you know
it.
You're
like number
awesome,
one
you
heckler.
Suck. Like I always heckle, but it's all like as a joke. You know what I mean? Like I genuinely don't care about winning. You know what I mean? I think like, I mean, obviously like I want to win, 100%. But like when we're playing recreationally, like it's just like for fun, It's like fun to fuck with you, because you're my dude.
I love it. So wait, so you were making YouTube videos about golf, which I'm just gonna go out and say is creativity.
100%.
Right? You're making videos.
Yeah.
You're putting them out there. So you're already putting yourself on a pedestal where the world can see.
100%.
And that's so difficult because we were talking about it earlier. If you never get stuff out in the world, you never move forward.
Yes, 100%.
So just actually getting things out there is already rolling the ball down the hill.
For sure.
So then you pick up trumpet. I'm guessing this is 6th grade?
Yeah, like 5th, 6th grade, yeah.
Okay, so you're in middle school band.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And did you play throughout high school?
Yep, I played all the way through. I was the red bow tie in my orchestra, which is like the leader of the orchestra. Played all the way through high school and all that stuff.
I love that.
Always stuck with it, yeah. Believe it or not, trumpet was my worst instrument. And that was the instrument I performed with the most. But I wasn't that good. I was like, I was good, but I wasn't like really good.
What were you best at?
Honestly, I think like piano has become my best instrument.
But then, what was it?
Oh, then probably piano, I'd say. I was better, but there's no piano. You know what I mean? Like in our orchestra, there was no like piano player.
Yeah. It
was more like big band type of stuff, strings and clarinets and flutes and things like that. But probably piano was my best instrument at that time.
Okay, so I mean, you played trumpet throughout high school.
Mm-hmm.
So at what point, I guess for people listening, a DAW, digital audio workstation, like the thing that we record, program music into.
Yeah.
What point did you pick up a DAW?
I was 15 or 16. And that's when that's like, I remember the point where I was like, I want to learn how to make music. I listened to One Direction, right? It's like cheesy pop music, right? And I was like, wow, how did they make this? There's a difference between like I grew up listening to like Eminem and like all the pop punk and like rap music at the time and like 50 Cent and like all that stuff. I grew up listening to Green Day, like all different types of music. But when I heard One Direction and like Justin Bieber and like all that stuff, I was like, yo, how the fuck did they make this? Like this is like it's like so well crafted. Like what was the process? That's when I fell in love with pop music and songwriting and creating. And I GarageBand, I had like a cheap little like Mac Mini. Remember, like I didn't even know if they still have those.
Oh yeah,
like,
they do.
They do.
Yeah,
like a Mac Mini, and it was like I remember like I like saved up. I like worked at American Eagle, and I like saved up like I had like this like long like Bieber hair, like surfer hair.
Oh, I can totally see.
Oh, it was horrible.
I think a lot of us actually did this. I worked at Hollister.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
dude. Shout out to those clothing stores, man. They've been
no. That was a terrible experience.
I was
for me.
like, were you one of the dudes that like had like their shirts off? Like
No.
I remember that was a thing back then.
It was a thing.
They would have like that would never fly nowadays.
No, that was not me.
Like
but
they had like young like 21-year-old dudes with their shirts off. Like I remember just being like, that's like so weird.
I don't even know if they were 21. But the
they might have
weirdest
been
part is
younger.
like people like I remember like moms and whatnot coming by and like you could like rub them and stuff like that. And it's like, yo, that would
never fly.
No. It should have never flown.
That is crazy.
It should have never.
Yeah, of course. That's weird.
That's
actually really weird when you think about it. And like that was like that was a thing. Like it's really weird when you think about it. Yeah. But I worked at American Eagle. I remember I saved up a bunch of money, bought a Mac.
You look like American Eagle guy.
Thanks, man. Oh, that's a diss. That could be a diss. Is that a diss?
Well, yeah.
It's true.
I'm out of thought that it could have been taken another way.
Yeah, I know it's true. Whatever. You like the Dallas Cowboys. Let's move on. But I remember, and I saved up a bunch of money, bought a Mac Mini, and GarageBand was free on there. And I had my cheap piano that my mom bought me when I was a kid. Same piano. Like it luckily had a MIDI input. Like MIDI. Like not even like USB. Like it was like the old like MIDI cables.
Mm-hmm.
And like you had to like plug that. It was like this like 2 thing and you had to like plug that in and like and then I just started making songs, writing songs. And I was a songwriter. Like I was just like writing songs like on piano. Like I would literally write the melody on piano and then sing the melody. I'm a horrible singer. I'm not a good singer at all. I don't sing. I mean like on like 5 songs in my career, I've sounded good on. It's like weird. Like there's select songs that I sound good on, but 99% of them, I can't do it.
Wait, are there songs out with your voice on it?
I can neither confirm nor deny that statement.
Ah, okay.
So they can neither confirm nor deny that statement.
Sus.
Because I don't want people to go looking for it. But yeah, I'm definitely not. I was a rapper. And that's when I got into like making beats and like I started becoming a rapper and just writing my own songs. And then I put out like mixtapes in high school.
I love this.
I put out mixtapes in high school and I used to like it's so cringe thinking back on it, but like I used to like I always loved performing. Like it was like weird. Like I always loved like just the thought of like writing something and creating something and then showing it to people. You know what I mean? Like it's like almost like to just get their feedback because like I feel like, you know, when you create something, like I was creating it because I like enjoyed creating, but I also like wanted to see what people thought about it. Like, is it good? Is it bad? Like, even if it was bad, like I still got that feedback. It's like, okay, cool. Like I learned not to do that again. You know what I mean? Like that was bad. So don't do that.
Okay. So you were talking about whenever you picked up your DAW.
Right. That's right.
And
oh yeah, I was talking about rapping. That's right. I remember now. Yeah. I was rapping and I used to love just performing for people and just to get their feedback. And I remember I used to like rap to like girls and like try to get their phone numbers and stuff.
Let's go.
And it was so cringy, but it worked a lot actually, believe it or not.
Did it really?
Yeah, actually it kind of did. And this was back, do you remember the days of Omegle, whatever it was called?
No.
So like, you remember chat roulette?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was like chat roulette. And like me and my friend Cam, shout out Cam, like we were like a little duo. And he was like my hype man. And I would like go on these like, and I would just like chat with these random people and like just rap to them and like just like spit a rap or something like that. And like,
I love
and
this.
like, but like I would meet people from all over the world and I like become friends with them and like we'd become friends on like Facebook at the time and just like keep in touch and like meet people. And So I was like always like performing it. You know what I mean? Like even if it was on like a small like personal scale, I just loved like, oh, like I made this. Let's see what people think, you know? Even if it was cheesy. It was horrible. It was like really corny stuff. Like really corny. Yeah, it's different times.
I love that.
We're far removed from that now.
That's just another form of you putting yourself out there.
Right.
And I think that this is going to be a huge theme that I hope people take away from this episode.
Right.
Is that legitimately just continuing to put yourself out there.
Yes.
Put work out there.
Yes.
Perform.
Yes.
Get ridiculed or get some love.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
Get hated on.
It was mostly hate. It was mostly hate for sure.
But getting that out of the way is just so
100%.
important.
Like now, like, you know, like when songs come out, whether I produce them, whether I'm an artist or I've like been a producer on them or whatever, or a writer or whatever, like most of the comments are positive now. But like I remember like it's like I got like over like the negative comment thing like early on in my career. And like I think like because I just put out whatever. And it was bad. Like it wasn't good. Like, yeah. But it's like the bad comments is like you become numb to it. And it's like I'm just creating. I don't really care what people think. Like I'm creating for the people, right? But like I think it's good. At that time, I think it's good. So put it out.
Yeah. I mean that's what it is. Like you're always going to look back
100%
and say, I could have done better. I could have done this, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, if you felt good about it,
right.
And you just get it out there.
Right.
Like literally just getting it out there is so freaking hard in the beginning.
Yeah, 100%.
You got to do it.
You have to do it. You can't be afraid because I think like you have a like it's almost like your like duty as a creative, I think. It's like you're creating this art. You have a gift, right? Whether you're really good at it or you're not good at it. You have a gift, you're creating. The point of it is to give it to the world. You know what I mean? Like if you just create it and then keep it for yourself, it's kind of selfish in a sense. It's like, I'm just creating this just for me. Like, why not put it out to other people so that they can enjoy it? Like, if they hate on it, they hate on it. It's not for them. Okay. They're going to listen to it, maybe write a mean comment. Like, if they're writing a mean comment, they don't have anything else better to do with their day. And like, okay, I've never left a negative comment on anything in my life.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been like, this sucks. I've never done that. Like, most of the time it's positive. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. You know, my mom taught me that at a very young age. But put the shit out, man. Don't be afraid. Like, and it's like, but it's okay to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid, but don't be, because like you'll be shocked. It's like, it's kind of like golf in a sense. Like if anyone's ever played, like if you're a golfer, you'd understand this. It's like when you're learning how to play golf, you go out there and you know what I mean? Like you'll maybe hit 100+ shots and most of them are horrible shots. Like terrible. You'll like top it. You'll be hitting the bunker, hitting the water. You'll lose 1,000,000 balls. Like you're just like, you're not having fun. But then there'll be one shot during the day where you'll just hit it exactly the way that it was supposed to be, exactly the way that you envisioned it. And it's like the perfect shot. And it's like, wow, like that was so great. And it's that one shot every single day that keeps you coming back, right? It's like the same thing with music. It's like you put something out and you get maybe you'll probably get a lot of negative comments. Maybe you won't, depends on how good you are, right? But like, it's that one, maybe that one positive comment will be like, wow, like, you know what I mean? Like, wow, I'm onto something here. You know what I mean? And that's what fuels the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And that's how you build a catalog. That's how you build a career.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid.
That works perfectly for mixing as well. Like in twofold. One, whenever I'm just in the studio alone, right? I mean, generally always that way. Actually always on V1s. Like my first version is always just me.
Nice.
And there will be a point in the track where I make a move, and this could be like some crazy reverb throw or something where in the rough it was very, very dry.
Right.
But I could tell like something is just missing. So I do this move and it makes me feel something like, holy shit, that feels amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that is one side of where I'm just really excited to get to the next track and feel that again, that dopamine rush.
100%.
But two is whenever I make a move, maybe that I didn't even think was anything special. It's just like supposed to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the artist or producer hits me back and they're like, dude, that thing you did right here, holy shit.
Right.
I can't believe I didn't think of that. That really made this record.
That's so dope.
And so I think that it's important that we feel we feel great about things with
Right.
no outside input.
100%.
But also, whenever we get outside input, that it feels great as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be lying to you if I wasn't sitting here being like, yo, I like it when people like my shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's like reaffirming. You know what I mean? Or like, maybe it's like, you know, an artist that you really look up to, like, even like liked the song or like shared the song or left a comment, or maybe it's just like your friend like that said something like, wow, I really like this one, or like your friend texts you on the side and is like, wow, this song sounds really good. You know what I mean? Like, or dude, you nailed this mix. Like, it's like, that's like, wow, thank you. You know what I mean? Like that feels good. Like, and it's like those little things I think that like always keep it going, you know? Like, cause you are like, in a sense, you're right. Like you do things for you sometimes, right? And then when you get positive feedback, it's almost like, oh, I was right. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, okay, good. Like I'm on the right track. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like, and it builds confidence, and you build confidence in yourself. And then now, because you're confident, you're going to take more chances, and then that's how you level up as a creative.
For sure.
By just taking more chances and being confident in yourself and what you're creating, you know?
Absolutely. And especially, I guess in any creative field, but especially as a mixer, we're here to fulfill a need. A producer, an artist, whoever wants to elevate it to a level that can be released.
100%.
And I'm here to serve the creatives, right?
Right.
So after a while, you like your ego builds up in a way where you're like, I made this move and people liked it. I made 2 moves and they really liked it. And it will always happen this way, that you are very stoked on what you do.
Right.
And you'll take it a little too far, because the person
100%.
that you are serving in this sense didn't want you to take it that far.
100%.
So then you have to back it down.
100%.
But as long as you know, like, hey, that's their taste.
Yes.
They weren't down with this, but look at all these other people that were.
Right.
So don't stop.
Right. And that's another thing that I've picked up on, like, as I've like gotten further on in my career, like we're when you eventually get to like we're all good at what we do. You know what I mean? It's just everybody has a different taste, right? Like, it's like, maybe I decided to go with harder hitting drums, but maybe the person listening is like, maybe they envisioned it as having softer drums, or maybe they envisioned it with a different snare or a different chord, or like, but it's like, that's how I saw it and you saw it differently. It doesn't mean that your way's wrong and my way's right, or my way's wrong and your way's right. It just means it's just different. Like, that's the beauty of music, especially anything creative. It's like the beauty of expression, and it's like music is subjective. It really is. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. It's not like a math problem. Like 2 + 2 = 4. Like, it's not like that in music. Like 2 + 2 can equal 7 to somebody if that's what they want it to be, you know? Like, but like you're saying, like in mixing, it's like you made a move that you thought was dope, but maybe that's not how they heard it. Doesn't mean that you're wrong. It just means that they envisioned it in a different way.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
That's exactly right.
Creativity's fun, man.
It is.
Cool.
So now let's move forward a little bit. I know that you said that you met Saint.
Yeah.
You met your buddy Ernest.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about now. You've already worked in a doll.
Yeah.
We're moving forward to where maybe there was a specific time where you met the right people.
Yeah.
And I want to hear about that. But the right time where you yourself were like, oh shit, I think I can do this as a career.
Yeah.
And the goal of this podcast, I think, should be something like the people watching or listening to this can walk away understanding what moves need to happen in life, and how to realize that they're happening, when to keep grinding, and when to like understand, okay, there's something real here.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like
100%.
I need to step up
100%
now.
100%. Like, I remember, you know what I mean? Like, I met Ernest when I was really, really young. I was like 16 years old.
And who is Ernest for everybody?
So Ernest, I met him when I was 16 years old, slept on his couch for like 3 years. And we worked together for a really, really long time. And he introduced me to Saint at a very, very young age. We're all from Worcester, Massachusetts.
Outlier.
Yeah, outlier.
Right
exactly.
there.
Right, exactly. It's true. Yeah, we're all from Worcester. We're all from Worcester. And you know, Ernest grew up with Saint. Well, Saint's older than us, but you know, he had known Saint for some time. He introduced me to Saint, and I think like coming up in that group, like I just learned how to create music on a high level. You know what I mean? Like, and then when I started doing songs and like, you know what I mean? Like I was like just making songs, like my mixtapes, you know what I mean? And like my friends were streaming it and like I had like a, you know what I mean? Like a couple thousand like streams on my songs. But then when I started working with Saint, like he was working with BB Rexa at the time and he like helped her get a record deal. And he was like doing a lot of big stuff. And this was like maybe like 2012, 2013, maybe.
Oh, wow.
It's like 10 years ago.
I mean, it's really whenever EDM got the acronym and blew up.
Yeah, of course. I think this is about 10 years ago is when I met Saint. Maybe 2013, I think, was about the time I met Saint. 2013,
Okay.
2014.
I mean, yeah, the electronic world is booming.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he's, you know, he's doing his thing and he'd moved to LA and things like that. And there was a couple other people from my, like we have like a little clique of people that kind of like, you know, started doing their thing. And then like, I remember I started working with Saint and my other friend, John, he's from Worcester as well. And he like taught me like the basics of producing and things like that. And, you know, like what an EQ was and like, how you have to cut the low end on vocals and you know what I mean? Like things like that. And like he taught me the basics of producing. And then we started working on stuff with Saint and like, you know, Ernest was positioning me with Saint and all this stuff. And then I started doing songs that Saint liked. And I remember like that was when I was like, oh, okay. So like Saint would have beats or John would have beats and like I would just write to the beats and
like top lining?
Yeah, top lining.
Wow.
So I was a songwriter. And then Ernest one day was like, hey man, like, yo man, I think you're like more of a like producer. Like I pick up things really fast. Like because I have like an obsession. I become obsessed with the thing. Yeah. Like whatever it is, like I'd spend countless hours, like so much time, like staying up to like ungodly hours. Like I remember I used to have to wake up for school, like high school or like college or something like that, at like 6 a.m. I'd be up to like 4 a.m. I'd sleep like 2 hours a night. When I was like in high school and college, I think my average like night sleep was like 3 or 4 hours. Barely slept. I remember one time, like I slept in my car in college because the library was open like super late and I loved making beats in the library for some reason. But like our library was open till like 3 a.m. I don't even know why that was a thing, or like 2 or 3 a.m. And so I would just stay in the library like and just make beats. I'd be like the only one, like me and the person that's like at the like working at the library. And I would just make beats upstairs. And but I had my class at like 8 a.m. and I used to have like a long drive to school. It was like 45 minutes or something like that. And I was like, you know what, screw it. I'll just like work on beats till like 3. Then I'll just like crash for like 4 hours in my car. So then I have to like drive back and forth and then just go to my 8 a.m. Like I used to do that all the time. And it wasn't like because like I just like was like, oh, it's just convenient. Like I just like was working on it so much. And then like that's when I started doing songs that like Saint was like, yo man, like this is really dope. And then it's like, you know what I mean? Because it's like Saint was like doing stuff. And I was like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, you know, Saint's like in LA in the music industry. And like, you know what I mean?
Oh man, I know what that feels like.
You know what I mean? It's like, whoa man, like he likes my song. Like, this is crazy, you know? And like, I remember like being like, wow, like, okay, cool. But at that time it was still just like, you know, like I'm in school, like I'm in a finance major and like all that stuff. And I was like working at like Golfsmith, like selling golf clubs. And like that was gonna be my life. And then I remember right after I graduated college, Ernest was like, yo man, I'm moving to LA to go like just be close to Saint and like we can just work on music. He's like, yo, if you want to sleep on my couch, like come on out. He's like, you can just do it. And I was like, shit. You know, I had like my girlfriend at the time and like we were dating for a long time. And I was like, you know what? Like I only gonna get one shot at this. And like, I was like, you know what? Okay, I have to do this. Like I felt like I feel like I had to do it. It was like one of those weird things. It's like I forget who this interview was, but it's like, sometimes like things are just like, my dad always used to say this too, is like, some things in life are just meant to be. It's just like, they're just meant to happen. And I think that like, I was meant, like, I don't know what it was. It was like, because I had like a really good job offer out of college too. I had a professor that like really, really believed in me, was going to give me like a nice job in like in the finance industry and like all this stuff. And I was like, I don't feel like that's what's meant for me. And then I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to move to LA. Moved to LA. And then I'm just like.
What year is this and how old are you, by the way?
I'm 20, 22, 23
Okay.
at the time. I was like a year out of, like I graduated from college and then worked for a year, saved up like 20 grand. Was living at home after college, working at AT&T, slinging cell phones. And that's also another thing. I learned sales like at that time, like I was like selling golf clubs and then like selling phones. Like I learned sales. And I think that sales is such a big part of music in the music industry,
Dude,
especially.
I am so on the same page with you.
It's sales, bro. It's literally like how you can pitch something.
Yes.
Making plays and all that stuff.
The crazy part is, and I'm sure that you learned this as well,
Mhm.
sales is so much less about the pitch
Yeah.
and more like instantaneously connecting with
Yes.
someone on
Yes.
whatever level.
Yes.
And then the trust is there. And it's not even a weird facade or anything. Like,
No.
I think knowing you well enough, it's a genuine
Connection.
love for connecting with people.
It's also passion, right? It's like, this is one thing I learned in AT&T, and like, it's like crazy. Like they taught me a lot of like sales techniques that I still use to this day. One of them is, don't sell. People hate to be sold. Don't sell somebody. Nobody ever is like, yo, that guy sold me that car. Nobody wants like they don't brag about that. You know what I mean? Like what they do brag about is this car has all these features. You educate, you don't sell.
Mm.
And like when I do like, it's like when I'm like pitching a song to somebody, I'm educating them on why this could work for them, or why like this is why. You know what I mean? Like because this song, this is where music is going. I'm educating. I'm not saying this is the best song ever. No, because it's like people are gonna be like, no, it's not. Like I have 3 other songs that are better than that.
Yeah.
But if you say, yo, this is popping because of this, and this. Look at this song. This song's number 3. Look, this song jumped up. Like this guy's a no-name artist, but look, this style's killing it. Like, what if you did this, but you did it in your way? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's personalization, and it's also education, and that's what makes somebody want something. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like
That's a beautiful nugget.
it's really true though, because I think like in like music especially, it's like you can't sell music. It's not sold. Like people buy music, but it's not sold to you. Like that's why like music is a feeling. Music is an emotion. Like you listen to something and you're like, wow, I feel that. You know what I mean? Like this is something that Saint told me. It's like you can't like it's like you connect with that thing. Like one of my favorite songs ever is Closer by the Chainsmokers. And it's like that song sold so much because it connects with so many people, right? Whether it's like they maybe relate to the lyrics or the melody's really catchy or the chords are emotional. So I can like, it puts me in a place and time and a feeling. It gives me a feeling, and that's what makes me buy it. It's, you know what I mean? Like music is that, it's that selling of emotion, but it's like subconscious. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like shoving it down somebody's throat. Like you look at like all these like people now, especially in music, they're like, man, listen to my song. This is, you know what I mean? Like, but you never go listen to that person's song because they're trying to sell you the thing. They're trying to sell you the lyrics or the melody. They're not trying to sell you the feeling.
Yeah.
You know, like the feeling is what keeps you coming back. Like when I want to feel, like when I remember about me driving with my friends in the summer of 2016, I'm going to go back and listen to Closer because I felt a feeling from that song. And that song, when I listen to that song, it puts me in that moment. So when I want to feel like that, I go listen to that song. And it's like, that's what creates people coming back. That's what creates people streaming shit. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's like kind of like the secret that like, you don't, especially when you're pitching music, you know what I mean? Like, you can't look at it as like a marketing strategy. Yeah, it is all a marketing strategy, but like, I feel like that's kind of getting lost now. It's like, if I spend $1,000 and I pitch it to these people and it's too methodical, you know what I mean? Like people need to connect. There needs to be an emotional connection to what you're creating.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. I think that people are going to take away a lot from.
I hope so.
From that. So you move out here.
Yeah.
And you're sleeping on Ernest's couch or at his place?
Couch.
Okay, so it's
great couch though. It's a nice couch. It was on like a really wide base. It was nice. It was a good couch. Shout out that couch.
I love that.
Same, yeah, it was a vibe. But I think like it was cool because like I remember at that time, like, you know, then when I moved out to LA, then, you know, I went into the building with Saint, and, you know, Saint was working at Warner at the time, and I got to be around a lot of like, I was very fortunate, very, very lucky to have someone like Saint, to like just be like, come, hey man, come by the office, come hang out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very, very lucky to have had someone like that. Most people don't have that. So I'm really, really appreciative to have someone like Saint to kind of open those doors for me.
This whole podcast
Mhm.
is about letting people understand how these things happen.
Right.
I do not believe in luck. I
Mhm.
really don't. There are things happen
Right.
that we can't explain.
Right.
But if you really sit down and think,
Right.
there is a way to explain. Like maybe the luck aspect
Right.
is that they grew up
In the same city.
town.
Yeah, right.
But if they weren't there, there would have been somebody else in that city
Maybe,
who
yeah.
would have been doing something. It's zooming all the way back to your childhood self. That guitar,
Right.
that piano,
Right.
going into the band,
Right.
YouTube, all of these things that connect that gave you your DNA,
Right.
the makeup, not your DNA, but like
Right.
the creative DNA
Yeah,
of
of
who
course.
you are. And you were ready to accept those two into your life whenever you had enough
Right.
things going on that you could absorb. Okay, I can use this skill, this skill, this skill, this skill to start writing top lines,
100%.
to start producing, to have Ernest tell you, you should do this, that, and the other. And you're like, oh, totally, I understand that. And all of these stepping stones that led you out here. And yes, it was incredible to have
Right.
both of these people in your life and
100%.
Saint offer you to come into the office.
Right.
But all of the things that led into that luck
Uh-huh.
are so important, because I think that anybody could look at this and understand, okay, I get how that happened. And it's not just by chance.
Right.
You put in, at this point, 10 years
Right.
of time into,
100%.
or more than 10 years.
Yeah, of
If
course.
we go back to the piano even,
Right.
it was about 10 years.
Yeah. Long
There's
time.
so much time and effort and love and blood, sweat, tears,
Oh my God, so much. Yeah.
hate, love that
Mhm.
goes into you being able to be called into the office and
Right.
chill.
Right. It's true. Yeah. I mean, like you have to earn your spot to be there. You know what I mean? Like whether it was like, oh wow, Saint's like, wow, this kid works really hard. This kid's a nice guy. He's a nice kid. You know what I mean? Like he really wants it. Like all that goes into perception of, you know, like who I am. And like, you know, like I at the time was sleeping on a couch. Like that's a big thing. That's a big step, you know, leaving, you know, your friends, your family, your like everything, you know, behind. Like that's a big step, you know? And like a lot of people don't have the like, hey, like let's go for it. You know what I mean? And I think that like I should be proud of myself for making that jump too. You know, and like I'm glad you said that. Sometimes you get lost in that too. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Of course.
you always be like, wow, you know, this is, I'm lucky to be here. You know, like, but I also did earn it. You know, I also worked really hard. And I think that there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut. You have to earn it in your life. That's something my dad taught me at a very, very young age. He's like, Eric, you have to be the hardest working guy, no matter what, no matter where you are, no matter if you're the most successful or if you're the least successful. If you're the hardest working one, you always give yourself the best chance. So I think that's something that's been carried with me for sure.
Yeah, that's luck.
Yeah. When talent meets opportunity, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we go to your quote over here.
Yes.
The key to greatness is consistency.
It's one of my favorites.
And I feel like that's luck right there.
To a certain extent. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like, I think Tiger Woods said it one time in an interview, and it just like always stuck with me. Because like I've always been fascinated with like the greats. Like, why are they great? You know what I mean? And studying them. Like I used to have this joke that like I remember like Ernest would text me like, yo man, what are you up to? I'd be like watching film. Cause like watching film is like you're studying. You know what I mean? Like I'm studying, like I'll like watch interviews with like Tom Brady or Tiger Woods or Kobe or something like that. And it's like studying their mind, how they think, like their mannerisms. You know what I mean? To a certain extent, to be like, why are they great? Like yes, they're superhuman talents, right? Tom Brady's obviously a great quarterback, but Tom Brady's not the best. He doesn't have the best arm. You know what I mean? I know you hate this conversation, but
no,
you know what I mean? Like Tom Brady doesn't have the best arm. He's the slowest guy on the field.
I know
you know what
all
I mean?
about
Like,
his combine. I mean, he is
horrible,
incredibly average.
Yeah, if anything, below average, right? But why is he great? You know what I mean? And studying that, and like studying how he thinks, and like what I drew at that age was like, these guys are obsessive. They have the obsessive personality. I was like, wow, I have that too. Okay, cool. We're similar in that sense. All right. Their work ethic is crazy. They want it more than everybody else, and they have the ability to perform under pressure. Okay, how can I work on being like, when I get in those moments of pressure, like, how do they think? Like how are they thinking? You know what I mean? And like, I read books like the Tiger Woods book, How to Play Golf, and like, but like you can take those things, like the mindset things. I remember there's this one chapter, it talks about like forgetting things. You know what I mean? And like literally, like Tiger used to say, like, he's like a Buddhist, like he's like a, you know, like the power of the mind. Like his mom was like Thai or something like that, and like he like got taught Buddhism at a very young age, and like how like he like pretty much essentially like when he has a bad hole, he'll like just like close his eyes and like literally like delete it from his brain, and then like having the ability to bounce back. And it's like sometimes in moments where I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to a big session or something like that, or like I remember when I first moved to LA, it was like I had a lot of those, like, oh my God, this is like a big chance, this is a big session, like, well, this person, like, you know what I mean? Like in the music industry, especially when you're coming up, it's like you'll get one big opportunity, you'll work 6 months for one big opportunity. And then if you blow that big opportunity, you got to work another 6 months to get another big opportunity.
Right.
But if you work the 6 months and you deliver on that one, then you'll get another, then you'll get another. And then like, and then it compounds up. And then the big opportunities become small opportunities compared to what, and you just like work your way up. But I remember like, also like be like things like Tom Brady will be like, okay, like before a big game, if he feels like he's like too low energy, he'll like scream to pump himself up. But if he feels like he's too high energy, he'll like do things like meditate to lower his energy.
Interesting.
So like, and then like before big sessions, I would literally like sit there and I'd be like, okay, cool. Am I like nervous right now or am I calm? Like if I'm too calm, I'm literally gonna sit in my car, swear to God, shit you not, sit in my car, like in my car is like a shitbox car, right? I'd like park it like right outside the studio. I'd scream. I'd be like, let's go, or whatever, like whatever I was feeling at the time. Like, and I think that like, that always helped me. It was like those little nuggets, you know what I mean? Like, it's like little things like that that help neutralize your mind. Or like, I remember like sometimes I would watch like Tom Brady videos or like watch like Tiger Woods like chipping in like 2005 Masters, like before I'd go into a big session, just like get pumped up and be like, wow, I'm going to channel this. You know what I mean? Like, cause there's like an energy to it almost, you know what I mean? Like there's a magic. And if you can channel that magic and channel that focus, like that's like when you can deliver, you know? And I think that always helped me in my career as I was like navigating.
I love that. Yeah. So just knowing where your equilibrium is for where you deliver best and figuring out how to get there. If it's too high, coming back down. If it's too low, getting there.
100%. And it's like, and it's also knowing like what the situation calls for too. You know what I mean? Sometimes I need to be the quiet guy. You know, sometimes I just need to be the guy that just does his thing. You know what I mean? Like, okay, cool. So I'll know like, okay, cool. I'm a little too hype right now. I gotta chill it. Okay, cool. Let me just like take a couple deep breaths, do like a 5-minute meditation, then go into the session. Cause I know I gotta be the quiet guy, the guy that's gonna work hard in the corner. Cool, I'll be calm, I'll be composed. Then there'll be other moments where it's like, okay, cool. I kind of have to lead this one. I gotta be the leader in the room, right? Okay, I gotta pump myself up. I'm too quiet right now. I'll scream in my car, say whatever I need to do, listen to some like heavier music or songs that'll like get me pumped up, you know? Like, and like there's a great way to explain it, like finding that equilibrium, like where you need to be and knowing your place, you know, is always going to be helpful for sure.
Beautiful. I think that's great. So let's go back. We'll move along a little bit quicker here maybe, but I think this is actually maybe the meat and potatoes. So first off, who was Saint working with at the time that you came into the office, and why is that memory relevant to you? Like what happened?
When I first started coming to the office.
Yeah.
I mean, like Saint at the time, he had just gotten the job as an A&R, working under Mike Karen and Eton and like super successful executives. And he was working with this group called Galantis. And Galantis was, I always looked up to Galantis. Galantis was always like, oh my God, Runaway and like no money. Like, and like, you know, at the time I didn't know this, but he like produced Toxic by Britney Spears, Christian, produced Toxic by Britney Spears, was like growing up like one of my favorite songs.
Yeah,
like
it's a standout.
One of the most like perfect pop, in my opinion, like perfect pop songs ever. You know what I mean? Like it's just so creative and it's just so well done. It's literally one of the greatest songs like of all time.
But so not pop, but now is.
But so not pop. Like and I think that
like for the time it wasn't.
100%. You know, it was so left. Like, but now it's like, it's so, that's why it's withstood the test of time. It's because it's so unique. And that's like another thing about being unique that I've learned as my career. We could touch on that later, but, and I remember like coming into the office, like, whoa, I love Galantis. He's like, yo, I'm sorry, we're Galantis. I was like, oh shit, I fucking love Galantis. Like, that's so cool, you know? And I remember he was like going on a trip and he's like, yo, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. Like, I remember I went into the office one day with him on a Sunday and like, you know, nobody's in the office on Sundays.
Yeah, putting in the work.
Right, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, that's like always been one of the mantras of our squad. It's like, we have to be the hardest working. We have to. If we're not, then like, it goes back to that thing about my dad used to say, like, if you're not the hard, like if you're the hardest working one, you're always gonna give yourself the best chance. So we just went over like every single idea he had, ideas I had, and like we're just like, yo, you know what? Like, let's just like write down a bunch of ideas. So I had 7 ideas. We had 7 ideas. Like, yo, I'm going on this trip. It was like over Thanksgiving or something like that. He's gonna be gone for 2 weeks. And I was like, he's like, when I get back, like, I want to hear all 7 of these ideas just like fleshed out.
Wow.
So, and it was like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember like,
This is the first test.
this was like, because I had already done this other song, that's actually going to be coming out now, hopefully.
Wow, so many years.
Yeah, it's like, the song's like 5 years old. But like, I did that song, a song called Monsters. Actually, the song already came out, but a song called Monsters. And it was like, I think that was like, it was like, oh shit, like, wow, like Eric can do this shit. Okay, let's see what, like, okay, cool, let's try, let's see how we can do on this one. So then the 7 ideas, they're all different ideas, like songs that he had or just flip ideas, like songs that we could, you know, flip. And
will you explain a flip for people who don't know?
So a flip is when you take an old song and you reimagine it, interpolate it, you flip it around, you speed it up or you slow it down, or you completely like reimagine the song, a song that already exists. That's kind of like what a flip is. And so we had those 7 ideas, and I remember like it was like around Thanksgiving time, and like I was like working on it on Thanksgiving Day. Like, I was just like so obsessed at this time. I was like, yo, okay, cool, I really got to deliver on one of these, because I'm like such a big fan of Galantis. Like, just even the thought of like working with Galantis was so cool. And I remember it's like the day before he's gonna come back, and I'm like, I'd just flown in from, I think I was in, I forget where I was, but I remember I had just flown in and it was like really late. It was like, maybe I got back to the house at like 1 a.m. and like Saint was landing the next morning at like 8 a.m. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm like going through the ideas. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going through the folder because I created a folder for it. I did 6 of the ideas and I was like, oh shit, I forgot to do this one. Oh, fuck. And I'm like 1 a.m, just got off a flight. I'm exhausted. I'm like, God damn it. Like, fuck, I gotta do this right now. Like, Saint's gonna be mad. Like, you know what I mean? Like I promised him that I would do like all 7. And I'm like, I can't just be like, I left this one out. Like, this one's dope. I should definitely do this. And it was a flip of this song called Have a Little Faith in Me by John Hyatt. And it was an old song that he had heard in this movie called Benny and June. It was like the credits song or something like that. He's like, yeah, we should flip this into a Galantis song. So I was like, all right, cool. And it's like 1 a.m, and I make this like sketch for the song called Faith. And I remember like banging on the piano, and I remember it was like super late, and like I was like banging on the piano. I was like, Jesus Christ, like, you know, Ernest is like, because Ernest is in the other room, like sleeping. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm probably gonna wake this dude up. But I was like so into it. I was like, holy shit. Like, I changed the chords, I sped it up like 40 BPM, like chipmunk the voice, like created this whole thing, like, and created for what ended up being the bones for the song Faith, with Galantis.
Hell yeah.
Featuring Dolly Parton.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Which is unreal. But I remember texting, and Mr. Probz, but I remember texting Ernest at like 5 a.m. I was like, bro, are you awake? I think I just made something crazy. And like, normally when you get that, like, I don't get that feeling often, but I was like, I had a feeling. It goes back to that thing, like, I had a feeling that I had created something that could be really special. And I was like, whoa. And I remember I woke up the next morning and like, sure enough, like I like woke up at like 8 a.m. to a text from Saint. And he's like, yo, have you worked on the ideas? And then I like sent him the original like rough idea for Faith. And I just like did it. You know what I mean? Like I never, you know what I mean? Like I just created it. I literally just created it like 2 hours before. And I was like, yo, man, like, yo, I think this could be something. And I sent it to him. He's like, whoa. He's like, oh shit. And then from there, we just started working on it. And that's what created Faith. And then like, you know, our friend Jazz came in, and then like our friend, you know, Sam James was the one who was singing the chipmunk part. And then it just went on this whole thing. And he like, that was the first song that he ever sent to Christian ever.
Oh, really?
He had never sent him a song. Cause he's like, if I'm going to send Christian a song, I want it to be like, this is great. I'd rather send him something that I think is amazing than send him something that's just like, okay, like, you know, another Galantis song or whatever. And Christian loved it. He was like, oh my God, this is huge. Like, I remember saying, like, he's like, yo, man, Christian loves it. I was like, oh shit, like, this is crazy. You know, like, and then we just developed out the whole song. And the song took about like, I don't know, like a year to make. Like, there was a 27-piece orchestra, like just this whole thing. Like, it's like hearing, like I like have the videos of like them recording the live strings to the melodies and the chords that I wrote. And it's just like, just this crazy thing. And then we had this whole song, and then they're like, Christian, who do you want to feature on this? And he's like, we should get Dolly Parton. And
How did that idea come up?
Because he's always loved Dolly Parton. He's always been a fan of Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And at this time, Dolly hadn't released anything in like a long time. Like, it's been years. And he's like, Dolly Parton. And then everyone like laughs in the room. It's like, what the fuck? Like, no way. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a story. I wasn't there when this happened, but you know, like, this is just like the stories. And he was like, but Saint was like, yeah, let's try. So like, we end up sending it to like Dolly's like management team or whatever, and they passed on it. Her management team passed on it. But then like randomly we got another email. I don't know exactly how the story worked, but like we got an email direct from Dolly's actual manager. So like her management team was like, Dolly really appreciates it, but like, we're going to pass.
Gatekeeping.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially, yeah. But then
Dolly.
It's Dolly fucking Parton. And they're probably thinking in their head, they're not like, yeah, Dolly's going to want to do this dance record like with Galantis. Like, no, I mean, Galantis is obviously a super successful act, you know, but they're not, you know what I mean? Like, they don't probably even know who Galantis is. You know what I mean? Like, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But because they're like, they work in Dolly Parton world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a completely different world. And so then it gets to Dolly's manager and he's like, I'm going to play this for her. Like, this is really cool. Like, I'm going to play this for her. And we're like, oh shit, Dolly's going to hear it. Like, even the fact that Dolly's going to hear it is insane. Like,
totally.
And we're just thinking like, all right, like, yeah, sure. Dolly Parton will sing it. You know what I mean? Like, that'd be crazy. And then apparently the story is like, she heard the song and she listened to it the first minute and she stops it. And then she goes and she looks at her manager and is like, his name's Danny. At the time, I don't know if she still manages him, but and she's like, I have to do this. The world needs this.
Wow.
Because the song's called Faith. And like the song is like, have a little faith in me.
Right.
And it's like, yo, what? Like, and then apparently she played it like 10 times. Like, she kept on playing it over and over and over and over and over and over again. And then she got on the song and she sang it. And then I remember we were, you know, like just like sitting there like in the studio and we're like, Dolly's vocals come in and we're like, this is Dolly Parton's voice, like on our song. Like, this is like absolute insanity. Like, my mom, like, I told my mom that like I have a song coming out with Dolly Parton and she literally was like, Eric, that's like the funniest joke you've ever said. Like, there's no way. I was like, Mom, like, here it is. I played it. And it was just like, she starts crying. It was like, what the fuck? And like, that was my first big cut.
I didn't know that.
That was my first big cut. I mean, I had like some other stuff. Like, I did like a song with like Bad Baby, like a couple months before that. But I was like involved in the process of making the song. But that was like my first like real major placement.
I mean, kind of ridiculous
was
for
with
the
Dolly,
first one.
was with Dolly Parton and Galantis, like a group that I always looked up to. And Mr. Probz, Waves is one of my favorite songs ever, and his voice is incredible.
Absolutely.
But it was just like a wow, like holy shit, like this is like it's a thing now, like wow. And then Faith ended up doing really, really well. We got 2 Billboard #1s. Went gold in like 4 countries, went platinum in like a couple of countries, and it was a really successful song. And I think that like Faith was kind of the one that like really sort of like kickstarted my career. And it was like, okay, like this guy actually can do something, make something happen, you know? And then that's kind of like really what, it also built my relationship with Christian from Galantis. And, you know, from there we just kept on working together, and I've worked with now Dolly. Like this will be, I've done 3 songs with Dolly now. It was on her greatest hits too. Faith was on her greatest hits.
Insane.
It's unreal.
Yeah, that's super cool. Wait, so you have 3 out with Dolly?
Well, I have 2 out with Dolly, and then we have a new song, which will probably be out by the time this thing airs. It's a remix with my project Sex on the Beach. That is, I think like now my one of my main focuses now is building this Sex on the Beach. It's like a indie dance DJ sort of project.
Yeah.
It's with Dolly Parton and Olivia Newton-John.
I didn't know that.
Olivia Newton-John is on it, and rest in peace. And it's a remix, official remix of Jolene.
Yeah, probably one of the most iconic
songs.
U.S. songs, like from here. That's like the fabric of our country, I feel like. It's such an important song.
It's such an iconic song. It's unreal. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just weird. And apparently, like, she loved it. And yeah, we're going to put it out.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, I know. Super excited. Really, really excited about it. I think, like, to even get to work with Dolly Parton is just like, I can't even put that into words. Like, it's just like, you know, like you grow up like listening to these people, and like, it's also like you like go home and like people are like, oh, how's that music thing going? You know what I mean? And it's like,
and that one's like a slap, like,
and then you tell them like, you tell them like, yeah, you know, I've done a couple songs with Dolly Parton. Even like my grandfather's like, whoa, Dolly Parton, wow, you must be really doing the good things over there. You know what I mean? Like, it's just someone that everybody knows, and I think like she's just such an iconic person, like celebrity character, and she's incredible. You know what I mean? Like, to even be at that age, to even be open to the thought of making a remix, you know what I mean? Like, and having someone like, you know, like Dolly is one of the most successful artists of all time. Like, why does she have to do a song with me? You know, like, it's just because she has that forward thinking mind. And like, that's why she's a great, like, that's why she is incredible, is because she just is always evolving. She's moving with the times. She's not stuck in her ways. She's just being Dolly, you know?
Now I want to ask kind of the project that, not Sex on the Beach, because we will touch on that, but
for sure,
the project that you're putting a lot of time and effort into and a lot of cuts, Cheat Codes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely.
Again, another group.
Yeah.
Whenever you were younger, just like, holy shit, these guys are killing it. I love this music. It's
100%. 100%. Cheat Codes, I mean, working with, they're like really good friends now, and like.
But how did this relationship come about?
So Cheat Codes started. Well, I'd always looked up to Cheat Codes. Like, No Promises, one of my favorite songs. Sex was like, like, Let Me Hold You, like all those songs. Like when I was in like, you know, like college and shit like that, that was like soundtrack to like my life. Like that's like when that's how I kind of fell in love with dance pop, was like Cheat Codes and like that era, Chainsmokers and Galantis and like, you know, all those people. Like that's like really the music that I love to listen to. So I was always a fan of them, huge fan of them. And I did this one song called How Do You Love? And How Do You Love was one of like the real like first songs that like I made from like top to bottom, where I was like, wow, like this is me. Like this feels like I felt a connection with that song. Faith also, I felt a connection with that song too. But like How Do You Love was one of the ones where I was like, wow, like I saw this vision from A all the way to the end, like beginning all the way to the end. And I remember I was on a hike one day and I heard Don't Let Me Down by the Chainsmokers and Tequila by Dan and Shay. And I was like, holy shit, these songs are in the same key, the same chord progression. They use similar notes in the chorus. And I was like, whoa, why don't I just put this together? Why don't I just make like a Don't Let Me Down tequila? And that's what kind of created this song called How Do You Love, which is like a country dance crossover sort of thing. And then made How Do You Love. And the song, I think we did the song in like 2019. Started it with my friends Corey and Celeste, and we wrote the thing and we worked on it with Saint and everything like that. We ended up finishing the production together, and then the song had like a four-year life. I remember I was in like, I forget where I was, but we sent the song to Cheat Codes and they were like, whoa, this is really, really dope. It's actually like really funny. Like we're doing like this whole country thing. And I was like, oh shoot, like sick. Like, and it just happened to align perfectly with exactly what they were, envisioning and working on. So How Do You Love was kind of like the inception of my relationship with them. And then they really loved like my production on How Do You Love and just the whole concept and idea behind the song. And they're like, hey, do you want to work on some other songs? And that was like, heck yeah, of course. And then we ended up making a whole album called One Night in Nashville. And it's like a whole country dance project.
Yeah.
So then just built a relationship with them over the years. And I think now on that album, I did like 7 or 8 songs. I don't remember. But yeah, it's kind of turned into a whole relationship. But very lucky because they're super talented, like all the guys, Trevor, Kevy, and Matt. They're all like really good dudes too, which always makes it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
For
Dude,
sure.
I mean, I think that you have a knack for country.
You know what's crazy? I didn't even really like country music growing up. Like, I mean, my mom used to listen to Dolly.
I mean, but I guess we're in a time where country is very pop.
100%. Yeah,
right?
I mean, now it's
just
pop
different
music.
Instrumentation
100%.
with generally a different message.
Yes, very good songwriting. And also, you got the twang. You know what I mean? You got to have the twang. It's the voices, it's the character, the mantra behind country music. I mean, you look at like Avicii and things like that. Like he didn't do country, he did like folk.
Mm-hmm.
But that whole crossover between the two worlds. Now there's a whole new style called EDM. Like yeehaw, like
yes.
EDM. There's a playlist called Country Club.
No, I've seen Diplo.
Yeah.
all
Diplo. I mean, yeah, Diplo did that.
Thomas Wesley.
The Thomas Wesley stuff. And Marshmello dipped into it for a little bit too with Kane Brown. And
yep.
But yeah, it was really, really cool. But now we're working on some new music with them. So super exciting for sure.
Before we go to Sex on the Beach, I want to ask, and we'll go into this little segment that I think this is the most important thing on this podcast.
Right.
Is the question of what does success mean to you?
Right.
And I want to hear what it means to you today, sitting where you're at. But what are some of the things that you did that have made you successful? Like some key points. And I think that we should just start with what does success mean to you now?
It's a great question. I mean, like, what success means to me is like, like you can look at it like objectively, like, your goals. Like, I want to be the biggest artist in the world. I want to have these numbers. I want to, have 5 #1 hits. And you know what I mean? Like, you can look at it like that. Or like, I think like, obviously I want all those things. I want #1s. I want to be the biggest DJ in the world. I want all those things, right? But I think realistically, like, success to me is creating art and creating things that I'm proud of and that other people can create memories too. And like, I want to create as many memories for as many people as I possibly can. Like, that to me is success. Like if that's 100 million people and it's 105 million memories from 100 songs that I've made, that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like, I want whatever I create to impact as much people as possible and create moments that, like, even though it's like I'm not there or it's like somebody else enjoyed, like I added to the world. Like, I leave this world knowing that I added to it. And I think that is like, I can like die happy. You know what I mean? Knowing that I helped in some way humanity or society or like, like some couple fell in love listening to a song, to a chorus that I helped write. And it's like, that song is like their wedding song, or that song is the song that they drive to the beach to and they laugh about. And oh my God, there's a dolphin in here. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, and it's like a thing that, you know what I mean? Like things like that. Like, it's like the little moments, but the big picture, you know? I think that's kind of like how I would view it, a successful life and career, you know?
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
You're the first person to give that. And I actually think success, whenever I talk about what success looks like to me, I that is part of what I say.
Right.
Legitimately. I'm not writing the song, I'm not producing the song.
Right.
But if I got to mix it and that touches people's lives, like
Right.
I want to touch as many lives as possible with the stuff that I get to work on.
100%.
And generally, we've talked about it several times, I really only like working with people who are my friends.
Yeah, for sure.
It just makes everything so much more enjoyable.
For sure, man. Like building with your friends, like building with your homies, that's also cool because you're creating the memories. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
And I think that's what it's all about, man. It's all about like looking back and being like, wow, we made this thing. Remember when we got too drunk after we made that song? And you know what I mean? Like it's like things like that. That's invaluable, you know, like no amount of money. Like, you know what I mean? Obviously I want millions of dollars and I want a successful life. You know what I mean? Like, obviously I want those things, but it's like, that's not what is success to me. You know what I mean? But I think chasing the feeling, chasing that thing of impacting people and like the positive in the right, like if you have the right intentions in mind, money's gonna come. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but if you focus on money, you lose the other part, which is actually the part that actually makes you feel fulfilled, makes you feel happy. Like the people that chase money, they're probably just like sad, you know? But if you chase the feeling and you chase the memories, like you're gonna get the money anyways. You know what I mean? Like, might as well chase that. Chase the happy shit, you know?
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
I mean, so we've already really dove into a lot of the things that have gotten you the success that you've had so far. But if you could distill it down to a couple points that somebody could take away, how could they socially engineer or like engineer themselves and their surroundings and what they're doing to be more successful?
Right. I think hard work ethic, delayed gratification is like working so hard for something and being so passionate about that thing and almost becoming so obsessed, not in an unhealthy way. I've definitely been unhealthily obsessed with things, but it's also to a certain extent that unhealthy obsession is what ends up creating the success. Is because like Steve Jobs said this one time, and it's such a good point. He's like, in order to be successful in your passion, you have to be a psychopath. And it's like really true because it's like no normal human being is going to sleep on a couch for 3 years. Like there were points in time where I was like eating once a day, had like less than $100 in my bank account. Like no sane person is going to do that for something that they don't 100% love. Like I kind of had to be crazy. Like that's like insane to do that. Put your body through that, put your mind through that. Like that's insanity. Like you have to have that obsession in order to become uber successful at something. So work ethic, 100%. You have to be the hardest working person and be honest with yourself. Like, am I working the hardest I can work right now? There's definitely been points in my life where I have not been working that hard. And it's like, I have to check myself and like snap back into it and be like, oh shit, I got to step it up. Being honest with yourself is also a big thing too. But proximity, establishing points in which you are close to things where the things are happening. You don't need to necessarily be in it. You need to be close to it. Because if you position yourself in the right way, maybe it's just like being close and being homies with a guy that knows a guy. And like, if you're close to it and the opportunity comes and you've put in the work and you've done the time, when that moment comes, you're going to be ready for that moment. And it's like also seeking out proximity, always seeking that out. You always need to try to find a way to be close. You don't need to be in it. You don't need to be in those rooms. You need to be close to those rooms though. You got to be in the building. But I think proximity is also a really, really big thing. And just being a good person, just be a good dude or an amazing girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like you just need to just be like a likable personality. And I think putting yourself out there is like, that was one of the things we touched on in the beginning. Just put yourself out there, allow yourself to be found. sometimes people are so talented, but they're just, they're afraid to show it. And it's like, it is a scary thing, but if you never put it out there, it's just, you're leaving it like to never be found. Like if a tree falls down, does it make a sound? Like, and you're not there, does it make a sound? Like you got to be around the tree to hear it. You know what I mean? Like you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's a lot of those things, and it's all of it combined, like, and it's not like there's like one secret, you know what I mean? Or like there's one thing, you know what I mean? It's honestly all of it. But yeah,
I think that was perfect.
Got to work.
I really think that you nailed. You summarized what we all this whole podcast has been saying, but very distilled, and I think that's perfect.
Sick.
Now we're going to fast forward past all of what we talked about and really go on into the future.
Right.
And that's going to have us talk about your artist project.
Yes.
Sex on the Beach.
Super excited.
Yeah.
Sex on the Beach is something that, like, it's always been like I think like Sex on the Beach is like, it's always been my dream. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like, growing up, like I always wanted to be an artist. Like that's always been my end goal. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times, like I honed my craft as a producer and a songwriter in making songs. And in that process, like I think that's what's geared me for the ultimate goal, and it's helped me meet the people that are going to be mentors and have been mentors to me for this new artist project, and really kind of like laid the groundwork for what I see as like my main purpose creatively.
Yeah,
so
I mean
excited.
that's beautiful. I went to one of the writing camps in Mexico,
Yes.
and I got to see behind the curtain.
Yes.
Behind the madness,
behind the craziness of Sex on the Beach. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel very connected with the project. I mean, I love everything that I've heard.
Thank you, man.
In being cooked up and just more or less like the vibe of the project, the feeling behind what goes into whenever you're creating for yourself.
100%.
Which after this conversation, I almost think was born out of that first cheat code song. Because from whenever you were describing it, it sounded like you wanted to keep it for your own because it was like so near and dear to you, but you were like
100%.
There will be a time.
100%. And like, I think that like, I've always had the artist mind. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's two different mindsets. Being a producer is like similar to what you're talking about, how like as a mixer, your job is to deliver a vision. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Like you have your vision, but like you're getting a product and then you're delivering that final vision that original whatever had in mind. Right. Whereas as a producer, in a sense, it's a similar thing. Like you can obviously input your vision into it. But at the end of the day, it's the artist's vision that you're bringing to life. So as a producer, you know what I mean? I'm there to deliver the vision of the artist. Whereas when I'm the artist, like it's my vision and it's like how I see it. And I think that like Rick Rubin said this he always, and I love Rick Rubin, he's amazing mind. And he talks about how like, like the most amazing thing that you can have as an artist, or the best quality you can have as an artist, is knowing what you like and being confident in standing by that thing. It's like, no matter what other outside things people have, it's like, but I think that this is, you know what I mean? And having that confidence. And I think in the transition from producer to artist, I think now I've like, as my time as a producer, I've developed that mindset. Because that's what it takes to be a successful artist. You can't count, like it's you. Like you're the one who's saying, I want the music to be like this. This is my vision. And then you work with the people around you and then they help bring it to life, you know? But I think that Sex on the Beach is like the first thing that feels like it's like truly like comes from me, and it's like exactly how I see it and exactly how I want it to be. And that's like really, really, really cool for me, for sure.
Yeah, it's beautiful. One of the things I just mentioned about just wanting to work with friends. So Sex with the Beach is literally you and very close homies.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, like brothers.
Only friends. You know what I mean? Like, we were talking about the Mexico trips, and You were on one, Sam was on one, my friends Ben, Kyle, David, Brooke, like they're just all like my closest friends. You know what I mean? And I think that like working with your friends is a different product than working with random people. It's like speed dating. You know what I mean? Sometimes like maybe people live in LA or they live wherever they are listening to this, like you just like walk into a gray box, and in that gray box you're there for 8 hours, and there's a person there and they tell you to leave because there's another session at 8, so you got to leave. And first hour is like, hey, who are you? You know what I mean? Like when you're creating with your friends, it's just passive creation. It's just like, yo, I got this crazy idea. What if we have a song called Ding Dong? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, cool. Like we're like in the ocean, like, yo, you know what I mean? Like figuring it out. And it's like, you can only do that with your friends. And like, it feels different. The music feels different when you're creating it with people. It feels less formulaic. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about Sex on the Beach is that it's fun, it's creative, it's unique, it's identifiable, but it has a life. It has a life to it that wouldn't be created if it wasn't with your homies. Like no person is gonna come up with the concepts that we have come up with or the sounds that we've created because they're like, oh my God, I just met this person. I don't want to be like,
so reserved.
Yeah, you know
like
what I mean?
pulling punches,
playing it safe. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that like, we've written a lot of songs and created a lot of songs that like, essentially like the whole mantra behind Sex on the Beach is like creating pop music because we love pop music. We all come from the pop world, but it's a non-formulaic approach to pop music. Like we were talking about, like, like with Toxic, like how like Toxic is like, it's pop, but it's like its own rendition of pop, And I think that like, that's kind of what Sex on the Beach is. It's taking pop music and pop structure and pop melodies, but doing it in a way that we want to do, like this is what we want. And this is like our own take on that. So it's fun. It's like refreshing to make music like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can feel it.
And also this kind of leads us to something I said I wanted to talk about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Is like your affinity for Mexico.
Yeah, I love Mexico, man.
You love it. You basically live there most of the time, it seems. All of the music has been created there because Sequoia shits you out.
Yeah. Sequoia, like we do like monthly Airbnbs. I like live like the nomad life, and I just jump from monthly Airbnb to monthly Airbnb. And just travel because like that's a creative trigger for me. I feel more creative when I'm always in a different atmosphere because I feel like you create differently when you're in different places. But there's a magic about Mexico. And if anyone's ever been to Mexico, I'm always in like the Yucatan Peninsula, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, Tulum, that area. There's a magic to that part of the world that just creates, I don't know what it does. It's hard to explain in a sense, but it's I think that has also been an integral part of creating the music that we've created. Is like you're just having you just have your friends, and we all come down to Mexico, and we have this cool little spot, and we go to the beach and just make fun music in a magical atmosphere.
And you guys tried to go elsewhere, and then you had a
we tried to. I was like, you know what? Let's switch it up. You know what I mean? Like let's go to the mountains. Let's go to Sequoia National Forest. So we rented a place in this place called Wofford Heights, which is like this small town, like 2,000 people, in the mountains in Sequoia and up in Northern California or Central California, whatever you want to call it. And get a knock on the door like halfway through my stay there. And it's the guy from the fire department, and they had a lot of rain and snow at that time. And he's like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, be something aware that's on your property." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "See that like land up there? Like it could be coming down tomorrow when it rains." He's like, "You're gonna have to leave," like a landslide. And they evacuated the whole town, so we had to leave. So it was like almost like the universe was like, "Nah, bro, go back to Mexico, man.
Go back to Mexico."
Just go back to Mexico, man. Just friggin'.
Just like a bad hole, you can erase it from your mind.
Exactly. Just a bad hole, man. Just get on it and just go back to what you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, Mexico is it's a special place with special people. It's just completely changed my outlook on life. And How I view life now, I think, is just, I'm so much more grateful. I'm so much more appreciative of just life in general. The people there are just so kind and amazing, and the nature is just absolutely breathtaking. The beaches, the sunsets, the water. It's like just the overall atmosphere is just, it's amazing. Really life-changing for sure.
Yeah. So what is the plan for Sex on the Beach?
Mhm.
What is the overall goal? I do know that you want to be the biggest DJ in the world with
100%.
this project, but what is I don't know if the timeline, or
Yeah.
what does this project look like?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, Sex on the Beach, we're doing a lot of remixes right now, and just kind of just creating music. We're in the stages of creating music. Going to be dropping some music very, very soon, and some very exciting news that I'll be announcing really, really soon. But honestly, the plan is to just release a lot of music, unique music, and just create a product and a brand where it's like, that's the only place you can get it. Like, I think, like, we listen to songs now and, like, some things feel very formulaic or something like that. And I think that, like, with Sex on the Beach, it's every time that we approach a song, whether it's a remix, whether it's Jolene, or, I've done remixes with all different types of artists like Megan Trainor and Flo Rida and Oliver Tree and, like, all these other people, it's like creating, every time you hear a song by Sex on the Beach, it's like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Like, it's like, oh, that's an interesting take. Whether it's a remix, or we're going to have singles that are going to come out, we'll do collaborations, all different types of things across the board, releasing a lot of music, but still maintaining that identity of uniqueness and the facets of the sound of what Sex on the Beach is, and just creating amazing music that people can make memories to, and live to, be the soundtrack to their lives.
Yeah. I totally hear it from the stuff that I've heard, which I know have taken on different lives and versions of what I heard. But
100%.
yeah, I think that one interesting thing here is that most people,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, generally are an artist,
Mm-hmm.
or they're a producer.
Yeah.
Or maybe they are an artist and then a producer.
Right.
But you did it flip-flop. You were a producer first.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious
Mm-hmm.
how you think developing all of those relationships
Yeah.
as a producer,
Oh, yeah.
as someone who is quality,
Right.
On the production side, but
Right.
just all of the relationships you've put in place, how you think that is going to help blast off Sex on the Beach.
Uh-huh.
Really, so that maybe people watching or listening who are producers right now that want to be an artist
Mm-hmm.
can understand how those relationships are going to just
Right.
catapult them,
100%.
or just look from a different angle. Because I
Right.
think that this is a rare circumstance.
Right. Yeah, it is, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, most people, like you said, it's normally flip-flopped or the other way around. But I think when you, like, my dad always said this in my life, like, as a kid, he's like, Eric, it's all about who you know. You know what I mean? Like, your life is about who you know. And if you can create those relationships, like, and create that trust, you know what I mean? Like, with Christian from Galantis, he just believes in me, believes in my project, because we've gone to war together. We've worked on so many songs together, Cheat Codes, like, I'm opening for them, and at a show in Boston, and things like that. Like, I've become friends with these guys, and I think that is really invaluable. It's like, goes back to that point of the same thing of, like, you know what I mean? Like, you earn the right to be there. And it's like, creating those relationships will catapult you in a way, like, you'll cut off so many things, but you had to put in the work to do those things, right? But at the same time, like, if I was just starting out, like, I'm going to start at a different level, because I've, like, worked with them for so long and created those relationships. And relationships is literally the key to everything in this game. You have to be able to create strong relationships too. You know what I mean? And, like, I've been very lucky to have been cross paths with these people, and we've shared a lot of memories together and moments together, and, like, they're gracious enough and to help me in my career. And I think it's really invaluable. It really is, but the thing is, like, you also learn so much in that process. You know what I mean? Like, I've learned I've honed my craft as a producer, so much to the point, like, where it's like, I've almost like skipped all those steps because like I've learned so much from these people that I've looked up to. Like, and I've been around some of the best, like the minds of people that are crazy successful. Like, that is like, you can't buy that. That's just years of like them going on their journeys and them learning things along the way. And then they teach you. And it's like, wow, like I skipped so many steps. Whereas if I just went by myself and I'm just like, oh, I'm going to go, you know what I mean? Like, I'd have to go through a whole learning process, but I can skip all that stuff because I'm like, I have mentors, you know, people that can really help me and put me on and kind of pave the way for where I'm going, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the electronic culture,
yeah, for sure,
is so inviting.
Yes.
And the whole plur thing is like, let's just remove that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is a very loving and lift your people up kind of community.
Yeah, for sure.
I think one of the most iconic people, or if not the most iconic, going from a producer to an artist is Kanye.
Oh, I mean.
And I know, because I've watched the documentary, how freaking difficult it was as him moving into an artist. Nobody wanted to give him the time of day.
100%.
At all. They were 100%. Like, no, dude, you're the producer. 100%. What do you mean you want to be an artist?
Kanye is a great example. You know what I mean? Like, Kanye obviously says some very questionable things nowadays.
Of course.
If we're just speaking to who he is as a creative, I mean, like, as a creative, you can't deny that he's a genius. I mean, he's one of the guys that's really paved the way for, like, you know, artists. Like, you know, it's a similar, kind of a similar path to Kanye, obviously on a different level, but in a different style of music.
Who's to say? You're at the start
no, of course.
Of the artist.
Yeah,
path,
of
right?
course. But he's, you know, he's obviously a, you know, like he was a producer, and like, you know, you kind of have to, like, people know you as a producer, you know what I mean? And like, it's one thing to be known as a producer, it's another thing to be known as an artist, you know what I mean? And it's like shifting people's vision of you also is very, very important. You know what I mean? Like, an artist is not just necessarily like, I'm an artist now, you know what I mean? Like, you need to have the mind, you need to have the vision, you need to have the abilities to, like, all the facets that take it to be an artist, you know? Like, that's a whole completely different toolbox, completely different skill set. And it takes time for people to view you in that light. So, you know, I definitely think, like, someone like, you have to really believe in it. You have to believe in yourself more than anybody else. And I think that that's what makes a great artist. And that's why Kanye ended up becoming so successful, because Kanye was a huge producer, very successful. Like, he had hits with Jay-Z. And then literally he's like, I want to be an artist. I want to rap on my shit. You know what I mean? And he was a great artist, but people still didn't give him the time of day. You have to prove it to people. And you can't expect people to just understand. That's another thing. I think, like, a lot of times, like, yo, they don't get it. Yo, I'm an artist. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, well, what have you done to prove to people that you're an artist? You know, like, prove it. Like, where's your vision?
The hip hop culture is very, very,
very
difficult,
different.
at least at that time.
100%.
Because he was in that documentary. He's in there over a beat, just spitting bars right then, right there.
Yeah.
Right off
very
the dome.
Different era.
And it was like, oh my God, this dude is so talented. Holy crap. But nobody wanted to give that the time of day, because 100%. It was, in my mind, this person is this.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think that seemingly from the documentary, in people's minds, there's only so much space,
right,
for, like, the guy right now. Like, Jay-Z was the guy. Like,
100%.
Don't tread on my ground.
100%.
In the EDM world, man, there's, like, so many festivals, so many shows.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, there are cliques.
100%.
Especially in, like,
everything's
the
political.
Rhythm side.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
But I think I really see that people lift each other up.
But yeah, for sure. The dance community in general is just it's a very fun loving community. You know what I mean? Like, because it's happy music, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, yay, dancing, drugs. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do drugs, but, like, you know, like, to a lot of people, that's what it is. It's an experience. It's like a dopamine rush. It's a happiness. Like, everyone's like Galantis' biggest song is Runaway. Like, I want to run away anywhere out this place. I want to run away. You and I. You know what I mean? Like, it's a camaraderie. And, you know, you look at a lot of the most successful DJs, they've all been put on, you know what I mean, by other DJs. And it's like, that cosign is so important. And I'm really, really lucky to have, you know, DJs that believe in me enough to be able to do that. So But that starts because I, was a producer and did all that stuff. So you got to put in the work, man. That's like, I think that's like the thing. Like, I think a lot of people, like, they look for, like, especially nowadays, everybody just wants it quick. You know what I mean? They want that viral moment, or they want that thing. And it's like, yes, but you can get that quick thing, but it's like I always like compare it to like stocks, because I come from like the finance world. Like, if you look at stocks that last a long time, it's because they incrementally grow up over time. They build support at levels. That's how stocks work. But if you have some stocks that just balloon, they go up like 200%, and then they just crash because they didn't build support. It just has like this huge hype, and then it just falls. It's the same way. Like, you need to view music as the same way. You need to incrementally go up, 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 and just work hard. This is really it. Just work hard and be passionate about it. But I digress. But yeah, really lucky to have some great mentors, for sure.
Yeah. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. Like, it means so much to have you here.
Thank you.
I mean,
man.
we're like super close.
Absolutely,
but
my brother.
I think it allows us to talk about these cool, deeper, nitty gritty things. And honestly, the way that this podcast works,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the way that a lot don't,
Mm-hmm.
and my lane is that I don't
Right.
really want to do a ton of deep research
Right.
about my guests. I want to have like this beautiful organic
Right.
conversation. And I have a couple points that, I want to hit because I know that they will bring on like a great conversation.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't do a ton of research so that we can just like have this beautiful organic conversation. And I
Right.
think
Right.
that
Yeah. Exactly.
I learned, and I hope that everybody viewing this has learned some of the inner workings of your mind, and
Right.
and really how to grow with a core group of people.
Yes. Yes.
That even though the two that you came up with were already moving and things were,
Mm-hmm.
already on the up,
Right.
we all lift each other up.
100%.
And if you find those people that believe in you and you believe in them,
Yep.
and consistency, like
Yeah.
the board says,
Uh-huh.
I think great things will always happen. I don't think
100%.
that you will ever fail if you
Yes.
just keep going.
Yes, man. They say like, it's another saying in stocks, like, you don't lose until you pull your money out. Like, you haven't lost money until you pull your money out. And it's so true. Like, what I mean? Things go up and things go down. It's like another thing that like is like in this game, like, the happy times are temporary and the bad times are also temporary. Everything's temporary. So it's like, if you're happy and the good shit's going on, enjoy it while it's there. If it's bad, oh shit. Well, it's only gonna be bad for a little bit. Eventually it'll get good. But if you're always with the people that you grow with and like your core people, your friends, like, you never feel completely lost. You know what I mean? Because at least you have each other, because it is an up and down battle, man. It's an up and down battle. But I really, really appreciate your friendship and you having me here today. This is like so dope. I'm really, really excited for everything that you're doing. World, watch out. This guy, the GOAT.
Dude, I mean, I feel the same. I can't wait to be invited to Vegas to watch you DJ.
Oh, dude, man. We got to bring you to Vegas, man.
Yeah, I've never done Vegas properly, actually.
Oh, man. It took Sam to Vegas, and it was like...
I know. He won't shut up about it. It's like the greatest experience of his life.
Yeah, I know.
But I want to go and see you DJ.
Oh, dude. Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to come by and see the set. It's a good time, man. I think like I try to play like a lot of music that's like you wouldn't normally hear in a DJ set. It's kind of like sex. The whole thing behind Sex on the Beach is just like, yo, there's the rules. Fuck them. Like, let's just like be left, be different.
Yeah.
But absolutely, man. I'd love that for sure.
Hell yeah. Dude, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, man. My brother.
My brother.
My brother. Go Patriots.
All right. So now that you've listened to this episode, I'm sure that you can see me and Eric are real great friends. Our banter back and forth about Cowboys and Patriots and everything in between is it was a fun conversation to have. And of course, I'm really close with Eric, and while he's not in LA all that much, whenever he's here, I always see him. So it was fun to get to share this with him. The first point that I want to bring up is Eric wrote on the chalkboard the key to greatness is consistency. And I just don't think that there could be anything more true. That is like in my mind, the epitome of what makes somebody successful is just having consistency day in and day out. If that's 5 minutes, if that's an hour, if that's all day that you put into your craft, just being consistent with it, that is literally the answer to everything. And I just thought that was really cool. I guess it was a thing that Tiger Woods said, but ultimately that is probably the best key you take away from this episode. But I'll tell you some other amazing ones as well. Just getting stuff out into the world. If that's a song, if that's a painting, if that's an article that you wrote, a book, a drawing, whatever. Just putting yourself out there and allowing others to judge, for the good or for the bad or whatever, just releasing things is the key to becoming great and moving forward. If you forever just keep things on your hard drive or at your house or, in your head, you don't get it out there, like how could you ever move forward? You don't ever have people giving feedback and being able to resonate with your art. It has to get out there. So the quicker you can do that, the better. If it's, a shitty quality, whatever, just get it out there. Like get the bad stuff out so that everything afterwards is a little bit better and a little bit better. Just move forward. One of my favorite stories from this talk was the one about how Eric would create beats and music in the library at his college until like 3 a.m. in the morning. And he had class so early that it was a 45-minute drive to school. So he would just at 3 a.m. go out in the parking lot and sleep in his car to be able to wake up and go to class in the morning just because he wanted to put that many more hours into music. And you could hilariously joke about hygiene and like he's grinding too hard and he needs some balance. But Eric is incredibly passionate and he knows where he wants to go with music and he's obsessive. And that's what you need to be great at something. So he was dedicating every single second he could to this craft. And, I know whenever I was doing my early 10,000 hours, I wasn't sleeping. Even way after my 10,000 hours, I was pulling all-nighters doing custom music to hopefully land in a trailer and doing various things. And that's just because I love this. And, if you're watching this or listening to this, this is what you have to give. This is the mindset you have to be able to break through, because there are other people doing this who are maybe not as good as you, but they will work so hard that they will be given the opportunities and they'll be able to deliver. So I'm so glad that Eric said that little story. I also love the story and just the idea that having a background or some kind of like knowledge in sales is possibly one of the greatest things that you could have in life. Because here are the things. To sell a product to somebody, you don't have to be great at manipulating them. You don't have to be great at saying things that aren't true. You don't like a sale is not a transaction. It's actually you being able to resonate with the person you're talking to, making them feel like they trust you, making them feel comfortable to open up to you and not in a manipulative way. I mean, I think it is really a genuine connection. So Eric worked at AT&T and they told him that it's about educating and not selling. So how this could relate in music, what Eric said is whenever you're pitching a track, you can say what this song does that no other song does. Yeah, it's a pop track. Yeah, it's in the same key and it's this and that and the other. But what are the things that it does so much better than other tracks? What makes it different? And highlight those. Don't sell the song. Just tell somebody what's so special about it. Or whenever you're out at having coffee or lunch or whatever, just be passionate about what the other person is doing. And that right there is selling yourself, because that person probably now feels invested in your world as well because you actually cared about theirs. I loved this story. this couldn't be any more true for how I carry myself and my business. Another point is proximity. If you live somewhere where what you want to be doing in life is not, happening at the level you want to, or if the people you want to meet are not where you live, you need to get to a place like a cultural hub of whatever it is that you want to do. Whoever you want to meet, whatever level you want to play at, you need to be in the place where people are doing that at the level you want to. In my opinion, it's always better to be a small fish in a large pond. You don't want to be the big dog. You want to be in a place that's going to help you grow and nurture you, and you're going to be able to continue to get bigger and bigger or do whatever it is you want to do, but don't be in a place that doesn't allow you to do that. And last but not least, a really interesting take. I'd never heard this before, and I think it's really cool. Read your energy before you enter a room. So if you're going into a writing session, if you're going into a sales meeting, if you're going, wherever, just whatever you're about to do, think of who you need to be in that room energy-wise. Do you need to be the calm, cool, collected person? Or do you need to be the hype man? Do you need to be energetic and excited? Well, read your energy before you go into that room. And if you need to bring your energy down to be more calm and level-headed, maybe take 5 minutes to do a little meditation or, some breathing exercise or whatever can lower your heart rate, can make you just a little more chill before you step into that room. And if you're going into a room where you need to be the hype man, you need to be excited, you need to lift up the room. Eric said that he would shout in the car before walking into that room, or play some metal music, play something that's going to get you hype, scream along to it, yell, dance, jump up and down, whatever you need to do to raise your heart rate, to raise your energy so that you can bring that into a room. And I thought that was a really interesting and cool little tidbit. So hopefully all those key points help you on this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to the Grounds for Success podcast. I want to thank all of the people who work on this podcast and help me out. My team is everything to me, and without them, I couldn't bring these to you every single week. I couldn't post on social media, with all the clips that we have, and so I thank you guys so much. I want to also thank all of my clients on the mixing and mastering side, because without you, I could not have Grounds for Success. So thank you so much. If you're enjoying the Grounds for Success podcast, please follow, like, and subscribe on whichever platform you're listening or watching on. It helps us out a ton, and I want to keep getting this content to you in whichever way you listen or watch.